On the first day of the LPL, Casa returned the trophy that his team had picked up at the end of the spring split. Now in their first opening match against JDG, we've already played 2. They're going to match point, and JD have looked good in both games 1 and 2. They could try and take it to RNG in game number 3.
I mean, RNG are pushed to their limits by very few teams in the world, and for some reason, JD Gaming is always one of those teams. They haven't lost to RNG in the regular season of the LPL. So coming into this game, there is actually a lot on the line for RNG, bragging rights, and what is going to be the Beijing duo, the Beijing brothers going against one another next year.
Yep.
JD have the head-to-head.
Yep, so currently RNG have their new stadium in Beijing. That's the stadium that we're playing out of right now. JD have not set up theirs just yet, but they are moving to Beijing in the future. So this will be a big civil war between the two, and it's already looking like one going to game 3 for the first set. On top of that, JD have just looked so good. Even in their loss against Victus Gaming, where it was a 2-1 in IG's favor, JD looked good in all 3 of those games, and they eventually picked one up later in the week.
Yeah, and the thing you have to admire about JD Gaming, and the thing that does look good about them, is their constant aggression. They're a good early game team. They struggle in the mid to late stages of the game, and then when they get that late game team fighting, they're unstoppable. And you saw a lot of that in the last game. You saw the early game lead, you saw the mid game hiccups where RNG just created chaos and it worked wonders. And then you saw the late game composure that came back from them once again. But a lot of differences, you would have to say, between the metas when these teams play against one another.
Yep.
In this case, it was Yagao carrying much more than it was Loken. And when you think back to the late game team fights that JD were winning, it was always Loken on something like the Jinx going off.
Yep. Even for RNG, when you look back at Spring Split, Uzi was the man you looked towards. MSI, Uzi was the man you looked towards. People said he's the best player in League of Legends at the moment. But coming into this meta, yes, he looked good on his Lucian. Yes, he looked good on the AD carries. He looked good on Kai'Sa in the first match. But he hasn't been the star. He hasn't been the man dealing the damage, creating those initiations from what we're used to in Spring Split.
Yeah, definitely the case for the most part now. So Uzi will have to explore does he go to bruises, you know, or does he commit to AD carries? The Kai'Sa was banned away from him after the first game, and so he goes towards the Lucian, but has a very bad time against the Cassiopeia. So for me, the progression is that you ban away mid lane champions to give yourself the Lucian.
Try and stop Yagao from getting one of those priority picks, because he's looking like a machine. He looked so good in Spring Split. Was crucial in JD's success of surpassing Suning and getting to the playoff run that they tried to achieve. They didn't do well in playoffs, but they got there, which was important for JD.
I mean, quite simply, he's a man on a mission right now, Yagao. Someone that was vying for Rookie of the Split continues to come into the second and looks completely unstoppable. You're going up against the likes of Xiaohu, and I have to say, it's not just him. It is how the team is setting him up and how the meta has shifted. You know, a lot of mid laners go to the jungle, or they play supports with their junglers, or they're working around that. Well, Clid is playing Camille, a champion that should be banned and is often banned away.
And we touched on that in game 2. Clid as well as Yagao, despite the shifts in the meta and how jungle mid synergy and priority isn't as important, they're still playing that exact same strategy. It's working for JD in all the sets they've played. For RNG side, we saw Let Me into Tai being swapped out. That was the sub-in for game number 2. Casa, as well as MLG, I believe, have been swapped as well. MLG's coming back into the jungle. This was the roster they used in game 1.
Yeah, they're bringing it back for the 3rd game, and of course, rightly so. When you've got a crazy game 2 outcome, you may as well get those fresh minds in. And you see MLXG when it comes to that early aggression. He's someone that'll he'll match you, he'll meet you there, and he'll say, let's do it. And he's going to be one of the more explosive game 3 early games from the junglers specifically. And that's what we're looking at, because the Lulu was weak, it was lacking. It was ganked early though and kept down by Clid, which was good from JD Gaming. Into the 3rd, I don't want to see the Lulu, though it's still good and still works. I want to see Xiaohu take on Yagao, you know? I want that Lucian, that LeBlanc rather, into the mid lane. I want to see him take him on.
And it's summer Xiaohu. It's not winter anymore, where he says he doesn't like the cold, he plays worse when it's cold. It's summer here in China at the moment. He should be playing out of his mind. He looked good on Malzahar, one of the picks he used in MSI. Lulu just looked lackluster, especially supporting a very non-AD carry heavy meta. Who knows, there's that potential still where Let Me end to tie play. Snake have done it with their supports. What if 2 bruises come in for RNG? Not going to happen in this set. Uzi will still be playing. We start to see how they adapt, because these 2 teams, for JD, their 3 sets they've played so far, it's all been about the AD carries. For RNG, it's looking to be the same. Their first 2 games in the LPL, still picking up AD carries, but with a twist. We've seen Uzi go to the top lane twice, and both times started there alone.
Certainly the case. Of course, MLXG's got some fan support in the crowd there. They're saying, carry me, MLXG.
And happy birthday, MLXG.
Yeah, happy birthday. Of course, he's going to be trying to carry the rest of his team. And when you look at the meta and how it's shifted, RNG for Uzi, he's never really been someone that has immediately taken to a new meta. He's got some champions, some things that he just doesn't play. And you have to imagine for this team that one of the weirdest positions for them to be in is the 8-11 patch. Does he adapt? Whereas you know, for MLXG, for Zatai, for the top side of the map, they love it. They were playing Singed before it was played everywhere else. You know, they've got some crazy things up their sleeves. And I have no doubt that will continue to happen.
I mean, people think that NA and EU have the Clown Fiestas. Have you watched MLXG and Zatai play? They love the Clown Fiesta. They were born into it. They enjoy it. It's the flip a coin strategy.
We're the refined Fiesta, all right? We're the nice wine as far as Fiestas go.
Where the stopwatch is not a defensive item Fiesta.
I guess it's more like a champagne. We're not going to be a fine wine, it's still a Fiesta.
Pop all the champagne you can. RNG probably did after the MSI victory. Coming into this match, they've looked shaky at best against JD. Even the match that they won, making some crucial mistakes. We haven't seen too many adaptations as we see from other teams in the current meta. Game 3 could shake things up. JD not afraid to give 80 carries over to Uzi.
Yeah.
They definitely don't want to play against his Kai'Sa. They banned that out in game number 2. The question is in 3, do they give him Lucian again? Did it let him play a priority pick of the 80 carry? But we'll find out really soon. So going into Champion Select, game number 3 already. Camille, Alistar, and Zoe banned out by RNG. For the side of JD, they're taking away Shen. They've taken away Kai'Sa, one final ban to throw their way. Nocturne banned out against MLXG.
Ming banning away the Alistar from the opposing team is always something that you have to wonder about. Now, the Rakan still exists if they want to prioritize that support. You saw the hover, and that's not something that Ming will pick, but you're looking at Lumao and you're thinking maybe, just maybe, Alistar's gone, Rakan's been taken from you.
He's already played it.
Exactly.
Played it with Loken in the bottom lane. Loken actually picked up Vladimir there. Didn't go so well for them. Lumao looked great.
He looked great, I will give him that.
Loken did not look great on Vladimir, however. JD to get a priority pick in the jungle. Clid's going to be picking up Graves. Now, does he just play that alone, or does he get the support from Yakao?
The second pick of the Braum, maybe. You've got a possibility here that they do go towards the jungle mid lane style. I don't want to see that from JD, however. What I would love to see is the Lucian can go with a Pike. The Lucian can go with something aggressive in that bottom lane. And with the 80 carry already secured, with the Kai'Sa gone, with the Lucian locked in, we'll see where Uzi wants to go.
You're only really looking at Xayah in this case. Ezreal is a possibility, one that we theory crafted could rise with the current meta. Wasn't hit too hard by the patch.
Yeah, Tristana, Draven, the other two that you'd be looking at.
But Ezreal hasn't been that popular, and with Rakan, you'd expect to go to the Xayah, but no, this is a signature pick for Uzi. Locks it in, going into the bottom lane with Ming's Rakan.
And it's good that you bring up the Ezreal before it is secured. That is what Uzi does when he wants the comfort. That's aggressive comfort, though. He doesn't just play to control the lane or scale up, get those 3 items that everyone goes for on the Ezreal. He goes one step further. He tries to take it to you at level 1.
He most certainly does. Aatrox was the final pick in the first draft phase for RNG. Locked in for Zatai. We saw this in game number 1. And that was going into the bottom lane. Surprisingly, Zatai started there with Ming. It's Fiddlesticks. Final pick for JD. Support being played by Lumao. So probably no Pike today.
The Fiddles being secured. See what they go towards with the bans as well. They want to take away from their opponents. The AD, the support, and the top laner have been secured. But the jungler of JD is there, so jungle bans, such as the Xin Zhao,
probably going to be taken away.
Make a great deal of sense.
Comment talks about it. Graves is a great jungler, can be rivaled by Xin Zhao when it comes to the early game aggression.
I wonder if MLXG can play the champion.
Neither have even looked towards it.
Yeah.
No bans, no picks.
Because frankly, you've got a Graves, someone that does really, really well at the Scuttle Crab. Xin Zhao can match it. Talia can match it too, one of the few other junglers that can do so. So moving into the rest of this, if MLXG can play it, you would expect JD ban it away, but it could be that game of chicken.
But instead we get the Aatrox ban, the Jax ban first from RNG before we get to see what JD's final ban is going to be. That is known as a good counter pick against Aatrox, especially during the split push during the later half of the game.
And twice in a row we've actually seen RNG lane swap. So when you're looking at Zoom's champion to play in the top lane, will he just go something like the Ornn, pick a tank and survive through the lane swap that he's going to be against? Or does he go a bruiser like the Jax that has been banned away from him to kill Uzi in a 1v1? Because they like to leave him by himself.
But as Prophet Rusty's predicted, Talia hits the bench as well. She's going to have to play a different jungler this time round. Come on, give him Master Yi. Put Tarek there. We've got ourselves a nice Fiesta to go through.
They could actually Tarek Yi on RNG's side if they wanted to.
They could. But Singe sneaks through the second half of the draft phase. That was banned out constantly by these two teams. RNG decided that Mundo is a bigger priority to take away. Makes sense. Ezreal has a hard time dealing with Dr. Mundo.
Yeah, but it's not that easy to deal with a Singe. The interactions that you see with Singe, man, really messes you up.
Spaghetti code.
He's also been picked into the Aatrox matchup. We have seen Xiao from
No
the
way!
gaming player. He's going for the spider.
What's going on?
It's not the first that we'll see. Of course, early game champions that used to fall off late game are still super relevant because the game time is so much shorter. So Elise does have a place right now in the meta.
Known as a skirmisher, brawl heavy, it does percentage-based damage. Theoretically, perfect for the meta. Haven't seen Elise too much. It's known as one of the weaker champions. Final pick is going to be Aurelia.
Yeah.
We said he was on Lulu last game. Xiaohu didn't look too good on that supported champion. Now he's got a carry in his hands. Who's he's up against though? Yagao yet to show his pick. Final pick for JD.
But absolutely, Yasuo very good into the Aurelia with the wind wall. The utility that comes from that is very uniquely powerful. You've got Engage potentially, and I would have to say it's actually mostly from Zoom on the Singe once you get a Shurelia's. So they can go for something that has follow-up. The Fling can be used with the last breath. Yagao's going to pick himself up an aggressive mid laner and fight the Bruiser with another Bruiser.
Pulling out all the cards they had left up their sleeve for game number 3. LPL showcases an Elise pick, one I don't think we've seen internationally just yet.
We've seen it in the LCK once.
Once in the LCK. Maybe taking a note out of the LCK's book to be played there. With the Yasuo coming back into mid lane, Yagao's going to try and take on Xiaohu. This is going to be a fun match. It's still 80 carries for both teams. A lot of interesting picks for the early game. A lot of interesting strategies, especially with Singe being pulled out by JD.
And still, for everyone at home that says 80 carries are boom, they no longer exist, look at Uzi. He doesn't care. He's playing 80 carries every game, and RNG has still taken a map from JD Gaming to beat them with an 80 carry themselves. So what's up?
He's playing the long con, Russ. He's like, all right, Riot's not going to let these champions go to waste. There's too many skins to sell. Going to buff him up in a bit, get him back into form, put him in the next patch. It's not happening just yet. Patch 8.12 looked horrible for 80 carries. But he is playing the 80 carries. Loken, he played one game of Vladimir, tried to stay away from those unorthodox picks as much as possible. Now going back in to the bottom lane. 80 carry, he picked up Lucian this time round. The question is, will we see them swap? Because we have seen both of them start top side of the map in the 2 games we've seen.
Yeah, you'd expect that again, the teleports will be seen. So the mind games will continue, and really, from swapping, all you get is teleports. There's a lot of utility that you can get from, removing those teleports, early ganks from level 2 ganking junglers. There's viable strategies there, but Uzi has been walking up there immediately from the get-go every single game, has been forcing the teleports out of their opponents, and we saw that in game 2 from Loken. See what they do coming into the 3rd one. So a lot of the focus isn't actually on that role. The early laning may well be. It may still be Uzi in a team. But Yagao's popping off. Junglers are going everywhere. They're a major part. They are a bigger part than Uzi is right now in winning of this set.
Yep, 4 kills to feed is the trend so far with junglers, but it's been chaotic. They've been fighting non-stop. Yagao is who we're looking at. Yasuo against Aurelia in the mid lane. Big skill matchup between the two. Will Uzi go towards the top lane? Will the King claim the lane for his own? Does he go back down with Ming? Does he work with the support that brought him through MSI? And try and take on JD's bottom lane. A bottom lane that throughout the latter half of Springs was known as a scaling lane. They took you to late game and they won you matches for Jingdong Gaming. But it's down to the 3rd and final match. The first game of the LPL Summer Split for RNG, the 3rd for JDG. And it's been a bloody fiesta at that. Let's get on to the riff. Game number 3.
You can see that when they're in Beijing, the screaming manager's not going to be there for JD to break the microphones and yell for his team. But no matter, JD, they've still got the fans coming out in force.
They do.
It'll just never compare to RNG in their brand new home arena.
Hey, look at this, Rusty. I haven't seen these wards for a long time.
You know
it's been
what
a couple
those
of
mean?
years. What does that mean, Rusty? Besides this level 1 fight that's about to take place?
It means the JD coaches have said they're lane swapping. We're going to find them and see them if they're lane swapping, and we're going to match them if they do.
So I believe 4 wards placed down by RNG. 1 at the river, close to the mid lane. 1 between the 2 turrets, and 2 close to the base.
For JD, yeah.
On top side, yes. From JD Gaming to spot those out. RNG seem like they put down their own just to clear out the rest of the river, but we're getting into standard lanes, it seems. We're going to take a look at WE against Snake, though, because there was a game-winning team fight. 25 minutes in, it was 53, Rusty, in the second game. Went for the long haul, longest game we've seen so far. It was back and forth. This time, Snake held the early game, and they were able to pick up the late game team fight as well, wiping the floor of Team WE, and they marched towards the Nexus shortly after.
If ever there was a game to watch, it's when Flandre plays Singed, because it's the most comically funny thing you've ever seen in your life. He's so fast when he plays the champion. I feel like he's faster than anyone else.
Look at that. Quadra kill being picked up as well. SOFM on his little kitty cat.
The babush cat.
The babush cat. As Ivan was picked up in that game as well. Snake innovating throughout this split so far. Looking good in their match against Team WE, picking up a 2-1 victory.
Come back to this game for a second.
All right,
you notice that something's a bit amiss.
Hello?
Like a certain top laner is playing mid. Of course, he's having a very bad time doing so, but Zatai
What's going on?
has swapped himself to the middle lane. Now, I have to feel like a lot of this is a conscious choice by RNG to put Aurelia into the Singed, perhaps, to have a better matchup. A lot of the times that you'll find Singed controls the early game. He exchanges a lot of health for control of it, yes, but he does control it, and that's a bad omen for a lot of junglers, and you know that Clid's going to be on the top side. So,
is this because Aurelia does better into the Singe, or is it because Yasuo just does better into Aurelia?
I think it's because Aurelia does it a little bit safer as well. It's very hard to actually kill that Aurelia. And the Aatrox in the mid lane is not the ideal matchup, but it can do some serious work if it's enabled to actually go. But Yasuo, Yagao's controlling him very early into the piece.
Well, let's hope that Zatai has been getting a couple of good autofill games into the mid lane during his solo queue adventures, because Aatrox in the mid lane, that's one that we've seen too frequently. Klid's had a good time into the jungle, though. Already level 3, picks up the first Scuttle Crab on the top side of the map. LXG is trying to counter that by picking up the one on the bottom side.
Yeah, and MLXG is the player that you have to look at. So he's got the Elise, he's got the ganking jungler, someone that doesn't need level 6 to be super relevant, just needs the Cocoon.
Ooh, I thought
You can already see, yeah, the early movements, maybe looking for a dive bottom lane. Zatai walking over there.
Something we saw a lot with Aurelion Sol being picked up. Push out the mid lane, move towards the bottom lane with the jungler clearing out Scuttle Crab. And against a Fiddlesticks Lucian, not the tankiest of bot lanes. Clid, however, has his eyes set towards top side map. MLXG doing the same, but he's still stuck at the inhibitor turret. Now jumping in, Zoom had a chance to fling him backwards. Now it's the flash for it. Stun doesn't come through. Good damage at the Xiaohu. Do they continue chasing though? Uses the repel. Makes sure that no one takes... make sure he doesn't take any more damage. Gets away without having to use his summoners.
And the Elise is up here as well to try and take down Zoom if he overextends to clear the wave. You can see the interaction just there between the top laners, or between Aurelia and Singed, is that if you walk up and you fling her behind you, she just dashes back to you, and all that distance that you tried to set up for your teammates is completely gone. And it's enough distance to actually survive there from Xiaohu.
Almost felt like a little bit of miscommunication between Zoom as well as Clid. Zoom had the opportunity to go for the fling without using a flash, but was forced to. Clid showed himself rather early. Teleports are being used by top lanes to get back up there. Both junglers are here as well in case there is a brawl. Immediately already getting flung back. The Guru gets put down by Zoom, making sure that Xiaohu can't dash back just yet. And MLXG wants to join the fight. Level 3 against level 4, however. Even trade so far.
Not going to be a one trade by any means from MLXG, and that is the jungler who has gone back to base and who has shopped, whereas Clid has not. And he's going to have to sooner or later, and it looks like MLXG is feeling that moment. He's got the idea in his head that the Graves should be going back to base. He wants to go mid.
They know that MLXG is there. He walked over a ward.
He may even dash over that wall and go for the fight.
Let's see if he does it.
Two stacks on a Yasuo would be the go button, but not to be seen.
Clid is level 5 though, now dashing onto MLXG. Cocoon not going to be thrown out while he doesn't have vision. Now throwing it, misses. MLXG still wants to chase forward. Pops into spider form. Good chunk coming out from Clid. No potions available for MLXG.
Oh, speaking of chunks, everyone in the bottom lane has had a go at each other. There's 2 summoner spells used by Lumao to survive, Flash including.
Lumao had less than 10 hit points. after that engage. So RNG found a good play on the bottom side of the map. Teleport was already used by Uzi to get back into lane, picked up the tier nice and early. But they're going aggressive. Uzi flashed forward from Loken. How the heck did this man survive? That's not okay. Gets the cannon minion as well.
Clid even coming down though. They want to find the kill. Clid has flash.
No flash for Uzi. Jumps in. Smoke screen is there and throws the shotgun into his face. Zoom meanwhile trying to proxy farm. Not going to work out for him. LSG and Xiao who collapsed. They pick up a kill there as well.
I would say it's pretty worth from the side of JD though. Zoom also cleared the wave and he's a Singe, so he's just going to laugh that one off. But Uzi dies. Graves gets the kill. You already saw the experience difference between these junglers. It was 2 levels when they skirmished at the Raptor camp. We get to watch how Zoom dies. I mean, the answer here is that he is singed and he's proxy farming. So really we just get to watch him die to that for that reason.
Easy kill for RNG top side of the map, but JD had to work for that one in the bottom lane. Loken, not afraid to step up, be aggressive against the low health Uzi. Cleared right place, right time. Didn't need to use flash. Smokescreen was enough.
That's a full minion wave, Ming. You gotta be careful. I know he wants to tank it for Uzi to get here. It's a lot of health that he's going to be losing, and it's just going to be a recall from Loken either way. Uzi doesn't have a lot of wave clear on the Ezreal yet whilst he's 5. So he should be able to come back in time perfectly fine.
Good items picked up though with the tier, as well as that pickaxe will give him some raw damage and move towards that Manamune nice and quick. Sheen picked up by Xiaohu in the mid lane now.
Yes. It is in the mid lane now. They swap back. And it looks like they can't control Zoom, so they're just going to put the top laner up there. Teleport also there for Zatai. So if he wants to influence the bottom lane, maybe the Cloud Drake, whatever they choose to look towards, Zatai's going to have a better chance of doing so.
There's just so many rotations.
Yeah, it's also a Sheen is like legitimate kill threat on a Yasuo in the mid lane, so it's pretty good timing to go back towards those lane assignments and back to equal. This is also a meta where lane swaps and lane assignments constantly shift, and this is actually with a standard bottom lane. If there was bruises, there could be more.
How can you lane when you don't know which lane you're meant to lane in?
What resistances do you build?
Yakal does pick up the Berserker Greaves though, so he has a bit of extra movement speed. Nice early item for Yasuo to pick up. Triple Dark Seal, completed by Zoom with the Corrupting Potion. That's going to work quite nicely for his regeneration. You said earlier that he trades health for control. That will keep him nice and topped up throughout the most part of the laning phase.
Yeah, you can't stop the Insanity Potion health regeneration. Clid's also able to secure himself a blue buff, compliments of having a Yasuo in that middle lane. So even further, as far as jungle control goes, in favor of JD. Just the experience, though, above all else.
And even though it's not going to be the Graves that we see from the teams that run supports in the mid lane, one that farm up a Storm, try and contest for jungle nice and early. Still a very strong pick in the current meta. Able to contest buffs, able to invade quite aggressively and farm a Storm. Really good clear time.
Now, I'm not an Aatrox main, nor am I an Aatrox enthusiast, but he's pretty fun to watch play League of Legends right now. To my knowledge, most of them go for the Emax first.
Okay.
This one's W.
Okay.
They're going to be doing more damage by hitting people, but Singe is really hard to hit, so it makes you wonder why it isn't the E.
He wants to smack as many people as he can, Rusty. Let's see if it works out for Zatai. Different max coming out here, but there's going to be a big fight. Ming dashing in, flash forward, gets it, but Caw comes out from Limao, looking to keep them at bay. It's going to be JD to turn around that gang. The Insumitsi Spider falls.
Yeah, that is actually a very small spider that probably shouldn't be making the plays like they just attempted to do. A very big force out of the Ming. Uses the ult, dashes to an ally, then flashes to get the engage off in the first place.
Teleport coming from the back lines. Aatrox trying to join this fight. Teleport has been complete. JD trying to retreat. The Dark Flight comes through, pops the ultimate. Smacky comes out to tie, gets that kill. That's why the WMAX is coming in, Rusty. He wants to hit him as hard as he can.
And he'll get the trade in the end, RNG. It forces a flash. There's a teleport also used from the top lane, and where Singe is just trolling his way through the jungle at the same time. Good end result for RNG. But extra resources needed and required to make that trade happen at all. We get to watch this again. Fiddlesticks gets a free channel off throughout all of this. And the fear was used onto MLXG. That's brilliant from Lumao as well to secure that first kill. Maybe he could have been more aggressive, look for a second one. But at the same time, it denies any escape routes there from the Elise as we get to see the teleports.
This teleport does help out RNG and stops them from losing that turret.
And it's good timing as well.
Very good timing.
Singe has just gone to clear a wave, so you know he's not going to assist. Doesn't have the teleport for another minute. And we'll get that kill off as we're back and MLXG's in trouble.
Taking quite a bit of damage.
Water is wet.
It is not wet.
Sorry, bears poo in the woods.
That's true. So meanwhile taking a lot of damage. What the heck? The support's here as well. Ultimate thrown out by Xiao, keeps them trapped and disarmed. Yagao will dodge away from that final stub of blast code. Let's go to Rift Tower, buddy. Clint's going to join the fight. Knocker comes up for Yasuo. Last breath comes through. The fire dance keeps him alive a bit longer, but not long enough. Ming's going to fall in the back half as well. Yagao throws down the exhaust. Clint jumps forward, dashes back, double kill, forcing Uzi over the wall as well. JD with a big brawl, and they come out on top.
The Bash brothers, we're still going.
The Culling's coming through. Loka's not happy. Give me back center. Gets the kill. Ezreal goes down.
And just like that, Zatai, no flash, no teleport. Can't assist the team. And JD make the collapse. They make the plays happen. Now a turret is likely to go down in bottom lane. But the Herald goes. Pressure in top lane goes. And we got to see the Bash brothers, Graves and Yasuo, just going off in this fight. And it starts because RNG choose to go forwards and they make those picks. And rightly so. The picks are very good. But they get over this wall. They could have disengaged from here if they wanted to. And then because they disconnect themselves, they separate themselves. They actually give an entryway, an opportunity for Clid to come into the fight. And you see Loken gets one on the side of Ming as well.
Xiao, who thought that he trapped Yagao in the pit with him, but it was the other way around, and poor Ming, who thought he had a friend,
he actually
abandoned by the
just
blast
brought down the cage.
Oof.
He didn't actually lock him in a position where he wanted to be in the end, unfortunately. The Yasuo, too good at dueling, had summoners through all of that.
Exhaust still up. Flash was available. Clid even playing out of his mind again. He's 4-0-1. We've given him a lot of praise this entire series, but this split, he's looked so good. I mean, Yagao synergizing incredibly well. JD as a team just looks solid. They're all about building up this split, and the start's been strong. Despite falling in one of their matches to IG and going to Game 3 against RNG, the results have been fantastic for JD.
Absolutely. Clid is someone that we have to talk about and give praise to in this set because he's even done it with different styles. You know, he's gone for the Camille gank heavy, now he's gone for the Graves farm heavy styles. He's successful with both. And right now, look at the vision control that they've got. It's time for a surprise party in the middle lane.
Please
you can tell that Lumao really wants it to happen.
It's MLXG's birthday. Go surprise him somewhere else in the map.
I mean, it could still surprise MLXG if he tries to defend mid lane.
That's why Lumao's playing surprise party fiddlesticks. He's throwing a
Happy
party.
birthday, MLXG. It's raining down.
Party for MLXG. And everyone from RNG's invited at the moment. It's very nice of Jindong. Game is still dead even though, Rusty. It's about a 500, 600 gold lead. Zoom, get it, smack it. Oh.
Hey, you got the smite, that's a win. Now he's going to have to go for the blue buff with his second charge of smite.
Ezreal's ultimate tries to take away blue buff, but Clid collects that for himself.
Oh, got him. GG.
Pops the potion.
That was all Uzi's plan. You guys may not know this. He didn't even want to hit the blue buff.
Instilling fear into Zoom. Oh, they were trying to go for a gank. You got it there. Would have been a nice assist for the AD carry. All calculated, doesn't work out. RNG a little bit too slow. Uzi must be mad at them now, but they're going to try and push for this bottom lane in a turret. A turret apiece at the moment. Aatrox trying to disengage.
There was a Yasuo and a Fiddlesticks running down the river towards them, so they choose to be careful. They choose to be safe. The control wards have moved from the top side of the map to the bottom side of the map, but it's still a surprise party. The party's just in an undisclosed location, constantly moving every couple of minutes.
How do you hold a surprise party when you forget to invite the person you're trying to surprise?
But you can't invite them.
And someone has to tell them to go to a specific location where the party's being held. JD forgot that part. Instead, Lumao shows himself. Party's been cancelled for now. But Zatai's looking for a big flank. Not going to work out as he's walking through all the wards. Yagao says, I'll go aggressive and try and fight him to start things off. Good damage onto the Aatrox. Loken throwing out the Culling, trying to chip away the rest of the members of RNG. They dealt with Rift Tower, but they lose their mid lane outer turret. 2 turrets to 1 in favor of JD.
And they have such complete vision control that they could see Zatai walking through the river. They choose to not fight him. Of course, they were expecting him to disengage, but they choose to take the trade, maybe bait RNG to go forwards, almost acting like they don't have vision, like they just stumbled upon him as he got into that bush. JD are playing very sly around vision control. They're using it very smartly to try and bait things in. That is the best way to play League of Legends with a Fiddlesticks.
Because even though JD have been looking for these aggressive fights, they're one of the few teams we've seen in the current meta that actually use the vision to allow them to pick these good fights. But teleports deep in the back lines. We have one coming out from Loken as well to assist JD. Now even Ezreal joining the fight. This is a big cluster. Xiaohu jumps in first. On top of Loken, Uzi trying to dash away. Looking to get to the 80 carry. Surprise party comes through. Uzi's going to fall. Ming shortly after. Xiaohu wants to dash away. Not going to happen. Locked down. JD get 3 more picks. The stun's not going to matter. That's a double kill. They're not done just yet. Into Itzy Spider as well as Aatrox trying to disengage. Agal dashes forward. The goo is there. The knockback at the last breath. 4 kills picked up. RNG, what happened?
Even a teleport to defend top lane. Zoom goes up there, catches the massive minion wave. Turrets fall bottom, and JD with a massive victory for themselves. We've called them RNG's kryptonite. Well, it seems that is definitely going to be ringing true here. They get themselves a massive lead from this, and they set themselves up to continue to win this game.
They just look so good. Loken takes another turret for himself, but the Spider, a dangerous one at that. Insty Spider, the wall, but the wind wall is there. Repel keeps him alive a little bit longer. Gets the knock up, but in trouble. The Spider is down. Curls up into a ball. Loken in trouble, and more teleports. Another one? No way! Here he comes to tie with the easy double kill picked up, looking for the third. Smacks him down. My God, I love this meta.
He wants the 4th one too. He's going over the blast pan. He's got the control wards here. He wants that quadra.
He's too quick. He's got flash as well. Flashes forward. Gets him! Fear's going to come out from Limo. He wants to hold on to his summoner spell, but forced to use it. Slow, a little bit too dangerous to go up against the tie. Big hero play coming out from RG's top laner.
And they trade the summoner spells in the end, but you can hear the chants from the crowd. RNG know full well that that was the play that they needed. Just another teleport on top of another teleport was all it took for them to get it. Now Xiaohu comes in, Uzi comes in, but Uzi is mispositioned. This teleport, he teleported like he is a bruiser, but he's the AD carry, and just gets flung back into his death. Suddenly Loken, with very fancy feet, who dodged out on the Aurelia stuns, is able to persevere and deal the damage, secure the kills, and JD, they push forwards.
And that's the problem with these bruisers trying to teleport into fights. They're not traditionally champions that look for flanks. They want to set up for a play or split push as their threat. Not a Malphite, not someone who's tanky, could just join a fight and show up or rock up like a Mundo. But they push the matter, Rusty. Doesn't work out the first time, so the key is to do the exact same thing over and hope for a different result. That is basically what a madman would try to do. Works out.
Sun Tzu's Art of War, I believe, is where that quote is from. If at first it doesn't work, just ram your head against it with teleports. That's a direct quote.
It worked this time round, and now they're going to try and catch out Zoom. Aatrox going for the first fight. MLSG collapses. Easy pick onto Zoom in the bottom lane.
Once again, the Singe will overextend, but that is expected. However, what is unexpected is that he goes down. That's the Aatrox being unstoppable, by the way. When he uses that dash and goes onto the Singe, the fling doesn't matter.
JD are going to try and pressure the other side of the map, though. Losing their top laner means they get some more control on the top side of the map. Sorry.
It's a scary place, though, Fish. We're hitting a point in the game now where Zatai is at his one item, he's working towards the Guinzu's Rage Blade, and then he becomes an unstoppable split-pushing force. And that means that Zoom hits a point in the game where he wants to more so avoid the Aatrox than fight and poke him down. So for the rest of the game, or at least in the next couple of minutes once those items come across, things become a different game.
Well, he's got his Shirelias for now. So that should be able to allow him to disengage when there is no flank coming out from MLSG. Let's see if it helps him out later.
He's also going towards the Morellos from the looks of it, so wants to continue to prevent the healing from being seen.
But 2 items from Tatai already. Guinzu's Rage Blade as well as Titanic Hydra. Let's see what he picks up as his third. We're already tracking that. Mirror Mana fully stacked for Uzi. He's gone for the Iceborne Gauntlet in this match, dealing with the 3 big AD damage dealers. Squad and Singe. He does not like being slowed down. He just wants to run straight into the team. Cleared those 7-1 and 2. Yomu's Ghost Blade picked up for this Graves. He's trying to assist JD with the siege of the turret in the mid lane. They only get some chip damage, not too much. Lumao, however, is waiting for a surprise.
Lumao, the old soul.
Here it comes, surprise! Xiaohu gets feared up, take it down nice and easy. JD find another pick, and it's going to use it. They're going to use it to go for a fight. However, knockup comes through. Yagao jumps in, Bloodwell is there. Keeping Aatrox alive for now, but immediately feared, immediately take it down. This turret is not long for this Yagao. Yagao, stop taking the damn turret! You're not meant to do that!
He tried just misses Lumao, so he'll survive. The tower, the range just seemed to juke Yagao for so long. That extra shot is all it took. Then the Cocoon connects and sets Uzi up a silver platter for that Mystic shot to connect and find the kill. And RNG, they're still behind. The gold lead is still stretching in favor of JD Gaming more and more. But the mistakes are there. And the exploitations from RNG, the capitalizations on those mistakes, very willing and very quick to the punch.
I mean, even though the gold is there for JD, though, it's about 3,500. You have to think, how much of that is going to be on Clit? Because he's 9-1-2. If you could take away that single carry, you deal with the Ezreal,
you
with
could
the
even hear
Graves.
the crowd just then. That's how satisfying that was.
To
Sorry.
watch Irelia dance around.
You literally just heard the crowd just go, oh, that's amazing. And it is. I actually, one of the few things in League of Legends that is really therapeutic and satisfying is watching a champion clear waves in an efficient way.
Didn't we have in the NALCS some time back just a replay of Lulu
There was a
Glitter
Glitter
Lance?
Lance that cleared a whole wave, yeah. I think the most satisfying one I've ever seen, it was posted on Reddit shortly after that, was a Diana cube that just arced an entire wave of minions.
I remember that.
It's like beautiful. Meditating.
That was me. I was the Diana. You don't seem to believe me.
I don't.
Oh, I wouldn't either,
I'm
don't
happy
worry.
to be proven wrong in my belief.
No, I am not. It was not me. JD, however, setting up for another surprise party. Control wards are being placed down this entire time, though. The Ty's been split pushing on the top side of the map. Luma wants to turn to a Scarecrow.
You know, one thing that isn't spoken about is that usually the Duskblade proc that a champion will give you one-hits wards. Now, if that is the case for Graves, then he has a much better time clearing wards.
Oh, he hates it. Especially
can
control
one-hit
wards. Finally can actually take it down, but going for that Duskblade. We've seen a few other champions go for crit later on. Black Cleaver being picked up nice and early. Some attack speed, but
full lethality from this Graves. He's not going to have the Braum in the mid lane to empower his 100% crit. He hasn't been funneled with all of the gold, though he is 9-1-2. He still wants the team to carry around him. So it looks like the role of Clid in the forthcoming fights is to hit everyone who doesn't have armor, and that's the thing. When you look at RNG's composition, Zatai, MLXG, and Xiao, who neither of them have an armor item besides Tabis.
Yep. There's not many tanky items, and on top of that, well, let's talk about that later. Lumao in some trouble. Flag comes out from the Aatrox, but Clid jumps back in. Drain's coming through for Fiddlesticks, but Zatai takes it down. Nicely cut down. Logan's going to join this fight, but Bloodwell is there. Honeydew available for Clid to try and catch back in, but being jumping in. Who's in the backside? Looking to fight this one out. Logan forced to dash away. Irelia trying to collapse as well. Uzi in some trouble, forced to dash back out. JD, they'll lose their support. Take a few summoner spells for themselves, but here comes the ultimate. Not going to be enough. Logan and Clid back to about half health.
It may not be enough damage, but it's a lot of damage. That's the Baron threat potentially there for RNG. They're not going to do it, of course. You can see MLXG on your map in the middle lane. Going to be farming this one up. So everything will just subside and reset once again. But that 4,000 gold lead's now 3,000. And suddenly, if that happens again, it could be 2. And this is them catching Fiddlesticks for a surprise party even he wasn't aware was about to happen.
No, did not expect that at all. And you're already talking about how Clid doesn't have those crit items, is dealing with people with less armor and trying to kill them as fast as possible. But another side to that is there's no support for him. No one to buff him up, no one to give him extra items, make him invulnerable like a Taric, a composition that we see commonly used by Snake. So he's much more vulnerable. He has to get as much damage as he can, as early as he can, and showed in that fight. He couldn't stick around after the Blood Bowl was popped by Zatai.
Yeah, of course, a very aggressive flash from MLXG to force him to disengage. Separating the team from JD is a very good way to get those team fight victories. Their front to back in terms of team fighting is a bit disconnected here, JD, and you could very easily split them apart with all of the AoE you throw around. I'm looking at Ming and Xiaohu with their ultimates, and then of course the dash from Zatai locking people down. If they can split those team members apart from JD, the rest of the fight's just a cakewalk. Very simple.
Whereas for JD, it seems like their entire goal is to set up a surprise, set up a good flank for Fiddlesticks, who has a Shirelia's Reveille as well, or try and fight around this Baron dragon.
I think, yeah, the other case is also true. If JD gets separated, they could still collapse very effectively on a single target, and Beekeeper Singed is going to be a major proponent of that. Using that Shirelia's Reveille, we've seen it from Fladre, who also just won in the Snake WE set with the Singed. He finds someone, he engages with the Singed.
They want to go fast, Rusty.
Picks them apart.
Steris Gage was the second item being picked up by Yas. We're not going to try for them. They jump on top of Ming. Get some good damage there. They fear Aurelia, not go back. Locked up as well. Defiant Dance doesn't do anything, and Ming, one-on-one against a Singed of all champions, is forced back. RNG lose their mid laner, and JD are moving straight back towards Baron.
When a Singed presses R and uses that Shirelia's, nobody is safe, but you can see what JD are trying to do here. They don't want to hit the Baron.
Go do the Baron.
Now, there's no blue trinkets being used just yet by RNG. You'd imagine they're just conceding the Baron. However, there we go. The indicator's gone. The Ezreal ultimate's gone.
They've conceded it, though. Look at
That's
MLXG. MLXG is in the bottom lane taking blue buff.
Yeah.
Tai taking bottom lane Zatai away.
I mean, that was an attempted steal from Uzi at best, and he used it whilst it was at full health, so he actually just helped them to leash that one.
much better from JD. This split so far, Barons look good for them. They set up for it nicely. They disengage when they have to. A couple of misplays here and there in their first set against IG, but this set against RNG, looking really good.
Very clean. I wouldn't say clean. Crisp in their mechanics. I love the apprehension for the Baron and how the adaptation has resulted in better plays instead. Where usually they would struggle with the Baron, they would do it, and then they would flounder with the Baron, mistakes would happen. They're so set on stopping a team from getting to them in the pit that they've refined their ability to catch you out of position around it with their vision control in the river. And that's the thing where they really have been excelling at, particularly in this game, is their control ward placements and just the sheer amount of control wards that they put down.
The early games just looked so good for them. The synergy between Zoom and Yagal this time. The fling comes out, Yagal locks them down with his ultimate, making sure that they target one player. That player is not going to move throughout the duration. Xiao has been the victim so far. And it just feels weird to talk about RNG and JD without looking at the AD carries, because Loken and Uzi were always the main focus. I mean, Uzi, the meta might change, but he's still 60 CS ahead of the opposite AD carry.
Oh, of course. 3
items already picked up, going for his QSS next, whereas Loken going for the Blade of Ruin King Black Cleaver, and a Zeal item already complete. Not the Essence Reaver just yet. Blue Mouse still holding on to see if he can go for a surprise. Wards are being placed down. Ming tries to sweep them out, throws out the Q, and Fiddlesticks just runs away. Wants to continue hiding.
Now with this Baron buff, do they continue to push for the turrets? Right now, JD have not set up a 1-3-1 with the Yasuo Singe. They have not gone for any crazy strategies. They're looking at 2 lanes in total. It's mid lane and it's top lane. There's even a dragon up and they're not looking at it. That'd be the dessert if they get these towers. They want to grow that gold lead. It's still only 3k.
It seems like that's what they set up for. They played it patient. Take down the top lane in the turret. Blue Mal this entire time, just being a sneaky scarecrow, waiting a fog of war, now on top of a ward. But trying to find those flanks, trying to keep JD safe. If someone tries to engage, the surprise party will be taken to them.
Yeah, but with Zatai splitting in the bottom lane, they've got one more wave to work with. Zatai's actually recalling preemptively, expecting some kind of aggression to be seen from them, and he doesn't want to teleport, wants to keep that. Makes you wonder, because JD, way too afraid to even make the play. He could have stayed bottom lane. He chose not to at all.
Seems like the Baron for JD is just going to net them all the outer turrets, and the base is left standing for RNG, and they go for the dessert that you called out earlier, Rusty. Ocean Dragon gets picked up, everyone goes back and farms. And they're trying to equalize some of the gold gaps, but there's a massive gap between MLXG and Clid. Look at that, 7,600 to 12,900.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
What's going on? Logan's still ahead of Uzi by a few hundred gold.
The
and
tragedy of Graves. I wasn't sure if that was the case. Duskblade doesn't one-hit wards as Graves.
Unlucky.
You really hate to see that. It's the one thing that would make the champion feel infinitely better, and he's already broken.
Not going to be the case. He's 10, 1, and 2. Picked up some nice items. Stopwatch already complete as well. Righteous Glory being picked up by Zoom. Zoom wants to zoom.
Yeah, Shirelia's Ender Righteous Glory. He's going fast, you're going slow. Everything's going at different speeds now. You've got a Shirelia's from the Fiddlesticks. He wants to go fast.
They all want
literally
to go
yell
fast.
surprise whilst he's sprinting at you.
Well, the other one just gives you beads. I don't know which one's better. I prefer the crows at this point. At least they say happy birthday.
Crows and
Bees just,
man.
they just smack you.
It's the scary animal composition right now. Then you've got Yasuo's, they're all animals.
You included.
Yeah, I'm a Yasuo, mate. I'm not going to deny it.
Please stop. All we need now is to give Graves back his cigar. We've got the A team. The A team will be running around Summoner's Rift, kicking ass, taking names. But so far, JD just wiping the floor of RNG in game number 3. Looking good.
Yeah, and I don't even know if wiping the floor is too fair, given how the past 5+ minutes have really panned out. They made a single pick, they got a Baron, and maybe 2 turrets from it, but RNG is still in a comfortable position considering how the game has played out. I want to say that JD have been wiping the floor with them, but there's resilience there. There's the ability to lose gracefully and keep yourself in the game.
But we've had the flip. I mean, game 1, it was all about JD fighting back. Game 2, it was quite back and forth between RNG and JD before the final break of the base came out from JD. Now it's game 3 where RNG seems to actually have to fight back from a deficit.
Yeah. I guess my question is, do you want to take on RNG in a late game team fight? Is that ever a good idea for you to do, even when Uzi's playing an AD carry? And AD carries may not be the meta right now.
No.
It's going half and half with bruises.
He is on Ezreal. Ezreal's one of his signature picks, and that's something
Exactly.
we haven't had to touch on, because without the traditional AD carries or the crit AD carries, it's
Culling
difficult to
that
siege
wave.
turrets. Luma might try and set up a surprise party here, though. Clip throwing out his ultimate. Trying to get some chip damage to start this fight.
They don't even choose to culling the wave and clear it. They actually just sacrifice the turret. And again,
Interesting.
This is a big part of the point that we're trying to make. JD are so afraid of making the play. But you can tell how quickly they want to react to the plays when they happen. If RNG go forwards, they immediately set up top lane.
Yep.
But then once RNG get here, it feels like they're just going to back away. We'll see how they play it out.
Patient play coming out from JD, whereas RNG are looking for a few quick jabs here and there, getting as much damage as they can when they can.
So this is the point where
Hello?
we spoke towards JD's vision control, and I still think that it's a prolific feature. You can see the wards on the map for them where they're walking. It's safe, right? But there seems to be a reluctance to walk to areas that aren't safe.
You're not all fiddlesticks! Only one of you stands still!
Someone's coming.
No! Nobody's
Just-
coming to this. The minions,
Just
Rusty.
give me 3 minutes.
I've heard you say that in ranked games before.
Yeah,
you
guess-
will sit in this brush for 20 minutes.
Guess
if you
what
had to.
happens? No one came. But
Wait.
someone's coming.
Damn it.
Oh, the gig is up. No one came top lane because they don't need to.
On the way, pings coming out from the rest of RNG. They want to go defend that top lane inhibitor turret.
Oh, here we go. All right, they've made the plays. The tie is visible. They want the teleport
They've
out of
got
the
the turret.
Aatrox.
But they're going to take inhibitor turret here. So low, but they don't stick around to take it down. Now dashing back
Whoa.
in. Teleport's coming in. Irela trying to disarm the entire team. Stopwatch to keep her alive. Bees are going to be thrown into the fight as well. The surprise buddy gets thrown. Uzi trying to dash away. He's still alive somehow. Still disengaging, but they get slowed down. JD get 2 picks. They're marching towards inhibitors now.
300 IQ sitting in the bush, Fish. They make sure that RNG comes one way or another. They may not walk up to you. They may not face check you. But if you sprint at their inhibitor turrets, they're still going to have to defend you. And so they get the team fight straight over to the Baron.
What did we say? If you're not going to go to JD's surprise party, they'll bring the damn party to you. Marching it straight down that top lane. Oh, please make
Another
it stop.
one.
RNG, they dash at me. He doesn't blind, but gets locked down. Yagao goes for the kill to tie. Gonna get the blood well proc. Uses the stopwatch. He has to die soon, or he won't get the GA. Does get it the last second. JD very low. To tie jumps back in. Can't find Zoom. And JD turns towards Baron.
Coming to a bush near you is Ding Dong camping once again. I don't know how many movies we've seen from them, but they'll get the Baron this time. They will not touch the Baron unless you are dead. And they keep going.
No! MLXD walks to his death. He thought that someone might not be in that bush, but again, JD find another place to camp.
Every bush. Nowhere's safe if there is brush. Just stay in your base.
How do JD have
The
5
thing is-
Garens when there's no Garens?
It's like playing that Doombots mode. There's Garens in every bush. If you're RNG, you could actually sit in your base because there's no bushes there, and they won't do Baron. They have no reason to do it until they kill you. And once again, Ming, you'd say he's pretty aware of it, but he gets flung through. The Yasuo follows it.
Ooh.
The Ty plays nicely, but again, he's by himself, so he's going to try and get the trade if he can. Cannot do so. And now we've got the 34-minute Baron. We've got the better Baron.
Yes, they have the later Baron here. Cloud Dragon's going to spawn as well. That will prompt an Elo Dragon spawn after if they take it down. You can still hear the RNG crowd chanting for their team, hoping for a comeback. Uzi is on an 80 carry, as the sustained items of the Mercurial Scimitar complete as well. 4 items on his Ezreal.
It's a big wave stacking in bottom lane. Requires the attention of 3 people. But JD haven't really set up another wave. They haven't found an opportunity, and there's no banner of command on them. They've gone for the Shirelias now, rushing the Zonias, but they're in anyway.
Caw! Surprise to MLXG, but he dashes away, disengages from the party, and meanwhile, it's Ming that is the sacrifice. Fiddlestick still going deep into back lines. Zoom trying to keep everyone else occupied, but it's JD. They find another team fight. Only 3 members of RNG left to try and defend against the onslaught of Jindong.
And it looks like JD have done it again. It might be 3-0 against RNG.
Well, they're pushing. RNG left to their king. Uzi, the last man here, but their first game back in the LPL, the king has been wounded. JD pick up the win, 2-1 against RNG.
And only 3 things in League of Legends are certain. And in life, let's just go there. Death, taxes, and losing your first set at home. RNG,
curse.
their first set in Beijing. The curse continues, and they lose to JD.
And it starts the war, the Beijing war between JD as well as RNG. Eventually, JD will move to their stadium in the exact same city. And they have the head-to-head record. Yes, the crowd will still chant for RNG. They put up a good show in a good fight. JD come out on top.
One-sided affair, however, in this rivalry that seems to continue. But RNG speak with international results. They've got that now to back them up.
A couple of members went to All-Stars, took home the trophy. Uzi took home the one-on-one trophy. Came back to Spring Split, takes that home. MSI takes that home. RNG take home Demacia Cup. But their first game in the LPL Summer Split, they fall to Jindo.
Yeah, and today JD gets to celebrate this. The crowd even respectful with their claps towards them as well, knowing full well that JD earned that victory. They took it to RNG, that early aggression, that unbridled aggression from Clid. Fantastic performance coming out of them individually. And you look towards the mid-jungle duo, and then you bring in the top laner for the third game. Zoom has the synergy with the Yasuo of Yakao.
Yeah. And we talked about Yakao as well as Clid's synergy. I mean, game number 2, it was about Yakao stepping up, being the superstar, carrying the game for his team. But often, I've compared it to people like Jason Kidd or somebody like Paul Pogba from football as a great playmaker, someone who sets up your team for success. And that seemed to be what he did in game 3. He didn't have many kills, but Clid was the star of the show, and he made sure he facilitated with the crowd control being thrown out by Zoom.
Yeah, definitely. The king of assists coming through there. Pretty much everyone was assisting Clid, however, as he put on the massive carry pants. And for JD, even Lumal working with him. Loken did some serious damage. Uzi did some serious damage. But once again, through all of this set, AD carries just felt like an accessory to the rest of the composition, never really able to do enough to win it by themselves.
And we saw MSG pick up the unorthodox pick of the Spider, but it was not an Australian Spider, not deadly at all. But to break down that entire series and the rest of the day, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Snake lost their first game, LGD, OMG,
Check,
W,
check.
now RNG as well. Yep, the curse is complete. Every single team so far with their own venue has lost their first game. Unlucky. Yep.
It doesn't even matter like how big the difference is, you know? It could be the best team in the world that just won MSI going against a team that got knocked out in the first round of playoffs.
Yep. Nope, doesn't matter. The curse is too strong. Yep, memes, don't let them be dreams. They're never going to be broken. That's all it is. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at this game, Clement, because how did this actually happen? Why did RNG get 2-1'd by JD Gaming?
All right, so I actually think RNG went kind of far down the rabbit hole, and they went down the Jingdong rabbit hole, which was they bet everything on the early game. A lot of champions that they pick do not do well into the later phases of the game, especially the Elise for one. That's a purely early game pick. And also Ezreal, we really haven't seen him much in the meta at all. The nerfs on 8.11 were actually incredibly heavy. You lose 40 damage per shot in the late game if you have a Triforce. In this case, of course, the Frozen Gauntlet, you still lose about 30. So those are massive nerfs coming into these champions. And it does seem like RNG were picking for comfort champs, for very snowball reliant champions, and they put all their baskets, all their eggs in the early game baskets.
In their eggs, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and,
if you can do that, that's how I would describe it.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm trying to figure this out, because to me, Clement, it looks like they're trying to go on pure comfort, which is what it looks like. Uzi goes on as Ezreal. You look at MLXG. I mean, Elise is definitely not a meta pick nowadays. So bringing it back right here, like I understand the theory, right? Runa Kekos gets buffed, but Elise, sorry, is not an AP. The champion, Clement.
Yeah, this is a team composition you pick when you go up against a much stronger team and you need to figure out a way to basically Hail Mary. And then, to be fair, they did have the setup for it. Every single one of these lanes has very strong CC where Elise can kind of snowball. But this is where the genius of really does come in. He matched everything in the early game. Like, there wasn't really a gank where you didn't see him come in right exactly afterwards. In fact, in the early game, and especially in the top lane, he actually counter-ganked multiple times for the Elise. So MLXG was completely shut down, and he turned that G into a D.
Yeah, absolutely. Just over and over and over again. And we were looking at the gold totals around, like, you know, towards the end of the game. 5,000 gold lead in that one roll in between Elise and Graves. I mean, if that doesn't spell it out for you, I don't know what will. And it's just, it just feels strange to me for RNG to do that, you know? It's just like, okay, maybe we stomped them in 20 minutes. But I feel like game 2 was a good indicator of why that's not going to happen. We saw that Lucian build come out and we were like, hang on, what is this? I understand the idea between the Black Cleaver and the Blade of the Ruin King. You're ahead, great, you win the game in 25. But they were absolutely not ahead. For a confidence build like that just feels very jarring.
And to put this in perspective, the reason why they kept going into these big team fights was because they knew that they didn't have a late game. There was nothing that was going to bring them back in the after 30 minutes, after 40 minutes. Jingdong had a much better composition to run them down, and they actually had somewhat of a front line. If you look at RNG's side, like Aatrox, he really couldn't get to the back. One fear and he was kind of out of the fight, and they didn't have any tanks otherwise. They had the Rakan, they had the Elise. Those positions are not, they're supposed to be tanky, but they were very fragile picks in those positions. So they couldn't go forward because Jingdong would engage on them, but they still needed to do something, so they alled in on the picks. If you look from like the 15 to the 20 minutes, they were constantly going from the picks, and credit to Jingdong, they actually matched everything. This is the big thing about Jingdong in this series, is that their reaction speed, their coordination, it's fast enough to go up with the best teams in the league. They will go into the 5v5 immediately, and if you think about the entire match, there's 5 people running teleports every match these times. Like half of the people can instantly teleport in. The meta is very different. The picks are not very effective, and that's why we call it a meat grinder meta. Everyone's going to come into the fight. You have to go through the 5v5, and if you all in on the early game, you better make sure it works.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, I'm just shocked that this is still happening with JD Gaming, right? The fact that they can still hit it well above their weight sometimes. We saw them in the opening game against Invictus Gaming. They take a game off them. It's just like, good job, JD. And they come here and they actually 2-1 RNG. And it's just like, the fact that they're still able to do this over multiple metas now is testament to how crazy this team is when it's still able to upset teams that are higher than them. So it's not just a single meta thing. It's very much, I don't know what it is, but is it mentality, how the players play, but it's still there and they still have it.
I do want to say, in terms of pure mechanical level and execution ability, Jingdong is definitely up there with one of the best teams. I would even put them over EDG. That controversial statement, but if you break away all the communication, nobody speaks, and they just play on instinct, I would actually bet on Jingdong beating EDG. If you look at their top laner, Zoom, he's second only behind the Shy in terms of laning phase. If you think about Yagao, he's made miracles every time he faced Xiaohu. The thing I want to point out is that he still holds the highest damage share in a single game, and he did that against Xiaohu. Every time they met each other, he's at the upper hand. So if you think about pure player strength, and I think this is very similar to what we're seeing from Suning as well, with the meta really being condensed into the early game, with it being condensed to just everyone just go into the fight. There is no hesitation whatsoever. There is no late game whatsoever. Everyone just go into the fight. Then these young teams with strong talent are going to rise to the top.
And to be honest, I really want to shine that light on JD right now. We definitely have done over this segment, but it's the fact that they are definitely the silent protagonist of this league. Like, they're not super flashy, but in a way that they also are at the same time. We see Zoom randomly just get multiple kills into the Shy. We see mid lane, as you said, already talking about Yagao, and it's just like, these things happen, and we're like, heck yeah, good job, JD. I mean, I see celebration over there as well from the Chinese casters. And, like, it makes sense at the time. You're like, good job. But it feels like no one ever remembers what JD do on the week. It's just like, okay, that happened. Now, what are RNG doing? What are WE doing? What are all the big heavy hitters in the league doing? So I think right now we really need to look at JD every time they face a quote-unquote better team than them and see how they fare. Because so far, pretty damn good.
Yeah, they definitely are one of those teams that I could see in the future breaking into the top 3. Like, they finished 4th place in their own conference last time around, barely snuck by SNG. And the reason nobody really thinks about them is on a strategical level, they're not really that consistent. They pick a bunch of stuff that they're happy to play. The Zoe is one of the big things for them. And when it comes to those like tournament situations, they just kind of throw a Hail Mary. You don't see a coherent composition. And in the future, I believe the game time is going to drag on longer. They're going to have to play 23 minutes. They're going to have to play like Baron team fights over and over again. And that's where the growth really needs to happen. We're not seeing it now because frankly, it's been taken out of the meta.
Yeah, I mean, for now, though, it is working, right? And I also owe a lot of that credit to Clid, who will take our man of the match in this one on top of that. I think it's impressive for a player like Clid, who, we've said multiple times, is one of the Lee Sin gods in the league. Yep. Next to Flawless, of course, as well. And Clid, the fact he's able to adapt into this meta, completely demolished jungle, by the way. We've already said it, but I'll say it again. 5,000 gold ahead of his counterpart Lee's. MLXG, by the way, on this Graves, 11, 1, and 9. And Clid, if he's able to continue performing well on carry junglers, which we know he has the propensity to on Graves, Lee Sin, etc., then this guy can really, really thrive in this current meta.
Yeah, we've definitely seen him rise throughout even the off-season as well. I've been tracking this guy through the Korean Challenger. He's been consistently incredibly high ranked. And if you talk about the engine of Jingdong, it still comes down to Yagao and Clid, the kill engine between those two. They were the team that had the highest kill first blood participation rate, first bloods, very early in the game for throughout most of the spring split. And the reason they had that was just because of the Lee Sin play from Clid, the Kha'Zix play coming out from Clid. And a lot of times he actually kind of assumes the real role, carry role of the team. While if you talk about Yagao, he's much more about roaming. He's much more about leaving in his lane and creating action for the other players around the team. So I think we're going to continue to see this dynamic in this meta where the jungle can step up and can be the one that hoards all the gold on the team.
Sure, we definitely see it from Yagao's champion pool as well. Even on some of his best champions like Zoe, that's also about roaming and trapping, right? Yep. And then setting up the rest of the team, maybe getting those big snipes. So really nice stuff to see out of JD. Let's go ahead and take a look at Snake and WE, however, because we need to look at the conclusion of that series. Now, if you're watching the game, you probably would have seen us show you the end of that one. It was a complete stomp of a game, honestly, coming out from Snake. Just under 26 minutes, bringing this one to 2-on-1 on only a single Baron this time. A bit of a change from the 5 we had in the second game in this series, but you can see a lot of work put in by the top side of the map here.
But Bushcat, that's all I want to say about this. But I love Snake's draft. I did catch a glimpse of it, and what they really fixed with their draft is that now they had 2 winning side lanes. So they could split the map up and allow that Rengar to run rampant into the mid game. And that's exactly what SOFM did. He actually got full stacks on his passive, killed every single member on W at least once. And at the end game, at the last team fight, while he was jumping into the enemy base, he actually was able to kill the Mundo almost single-handedly. That's how fed he was this game.
Yeah, if you're the team with the Mundo, that's not something you really particularly want to hear, is it? The fact that the Rengar just one-shot your tank. So, yeah, nice stuff coming out of the Bushcat combo. If you didn't catch the segment earlier, that's what we're coining it. That is for everybody. I mean, Korea managed to coin the Karthus and the Nunu combo, so we're going to get Bushcat. That's the Ivan and Rengar combination. So, there you go. That has been set up for you. Let's take a look at the standings, though, after this 1 week of play here in the summer split of the LPL. We've had definitely our fair share of upsets, and I don't think we're too hot on those upsets in our tips, Clement, to be fair.
We're completely destroyed. We actually predicted WE, RNG, and Snake to beat OMG. So 3 wrong tips already from the entire team, actually.
Unlucky. Hopefully you guys at home were a little bit more lucky than we were, but Rogue Warriors will be leading the Western Conference there, 2-0 on the opposite side. Team IG and Suning will be leading this one next to JD Gaming and BLG. So definitely some swap-ups in terms of the league and how at least week 1 is shaken up.
Yeah, definitely a very rocky start for a lot of teams right here. The Eastern Conference, as we speak, has been the more stacked conference in our opinion. And it's really interesting to see if Jingdong, this split, now sitting at 2-1, can actually advance further than they did before.
Exactly. Didn't you tip Snake though over WE in that?
Oh, I tipped Snake. Yeah. But
hey,
W lost to TOP.
Yeah, we were the only two on the team, by the way.
About.
There you go. Anyways, a couple of weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, we'll be Rift rivals. So let's take a look at the teams once again going over there. It will be 3 of the teams coming out from the Eastern Conference: RNG, Invictus Gaming, and Rogue Warriors coming out of that one. And East probably going to remain beast, to be honest, in this split as well. So make sure to tune in for that one. There's going to be a couple players in RW, one of the teams definitely to look out for that you may have seen before. Doinby, SMLZ definitely had the time in the sun, but together have definitely done the fusion dance and become even better than they once were.
Oh yeah, they're still sticking their guns onto the big ADCs, and if you don't know who Doinby is, this is the dance he does when he picks Kog'Maw for his team.
Yeah, it was. To be honest, we need a montage of Joinby dances. I actually think that's something we're gonna make for you guys. I just thought of that when you said it. It was just like he has got some real good victory dances. I know
Happiest
we
player you
rehearsed
have ever
those.
seen.
Yeah, super good stuff coming out of Joinby. Anyways, let's take a look at tomorrow's matches coming your way. It's the start of a brand new week in the LPL. No rest for the wicked. It's Monday. It's week 2 of the LPL. BLG and Suni Gaming will start us off. That will happen at 1700 CST, and that will be at 1 AM PST, and of course 8 AM CEST for all you European fans. And we'll end the day with RNG taking on LGD.
Pure Eastern team, Eastern Conference teams going to butt head against each other. BLG, this is the team we thought were going to take 3rd place in the Eastern Conference, but they did look shaky out the gate. Suni definitely has their chances there. And just to remind everyone, yes, RNG did actually lose to LGD in the 2nd intra-conference round. So don't write anything off. We do have to look at the protagonist of the league, Uzi, and how well he actually does, because RNG in the regular split have been known to be a bit shaky.
Yeah, a lot of people probably want to forget that one, Clement. And considering in cross-conference, the East was 21-0 over the West, and then, as you said, within their own conference, just randomly get hit up by JDG Gaming, LGD, and it's like, what is going on, you know? So welcome to the LPL, where anyone can beat anyone, and the scores don't matter. Either way, we're going to finish our show on that note. From myself, Clement, everyone on the English broadcast team, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for week 2.